Hello everybody, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to use the basics of Adobe Photoshop. There's a lot of different ways that you can manipulate imagery in Photoshop. You can either start from scratch or you can import your own picture. For the basics, I'm going to be importing a picture instead of starting from scratch. So to do that, we're going to go up to File and then Open, and now select the picture that you want to import. Now that we have our image imported, we can do a number of different things to this image. If you look all the way to the left-hand column of Photoshop, you'll see a number of different tools. All these tools to the left can help you manipulate the image in thousands of different ways and combinations. And to the right-hand side, we have a section called Layers. Adobe's definition of layers in Photoshop are: Photoshop layers are like sheets of stacked acetate. You can see through transparent areas of a layer to the layers below. You can move a layer to position the content on the layer, like sliding a sheet of acetate in a stack. You can also change the opacity of a layer to make content partially transparent. You use layers to perform tasks such as compositing multiple images, adding text to an image, or adding vector graphic shapes. You can apply a layer style to add special effects such as drop shadow or glow. More images that you import means more layers added into your layer section. If you look above the layer section, you have an adjustment section. Here you can change the levels, contrast, color, color balance, brightness and contrast, and hue and saturation, and the list goes on. If we go back to the left-hand column, the first three tools are actually called selection tools. We're going to be picking the second selection tool. Now if you click and drag over your selected layer, it'll create a box-shaped selection. With your selection, you can do a number of different things to the image, like copy and paste the selected region, change the color, change the opacity, and basically you can do almost anything with the selected region that you've made. With your selection, you can do a number of different things to the image, like copy and paste the selected region, change the color, change the opacity, and basically you can do almost anything with the selected region that you've made. If we go down below a little bit more on the left hand column, we have a paint bucket tool. If you right click, you have two other options. We're going to be using just the paint bucket tool for this demonstration. Once you have the paint bucket tool selected, if you go up to the top right, you'll see two boxes of different colors. The square color that's in front of the other square color is the foreground color, and the color behind it is the background color. Here you can change the foreground and background color of your selected layer for the paint bucket tool. Notice Photoshop gives you a wide variety of options to change your color and even input your own color code. Once you have your color selected, if you bring the paintbrush tool over to your selected region and click anywhere inside of it, it'll change that selected region to the color that you have chosen. Notice that you can do this with basically any amount of selected regions that you want, and now you can manipulate your image with any colors that you wish. If we go back up to the selection tool and right click on it, it gives us three other options. We have a circle and oval selection tool, we have a single row selection tool, and a single column selection tool. They all work the same as the rectangular selection tool, but you can also do it in different shapes and sizes, and yes, you can also use the paint bucket to dump your color into the selected region. If you go back to the top left corner of the selection tools and click on the first one, you can take the corners of your image and readjust the image to the size that you wish. With the same tool selected, if you were to right click on your image, you have a number of different options from free transform, scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp, and you can rotate your image in many different ways. If you right click on any layer, you have a number of different options. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the blending options page. In this section, you can specify overall and fill opacity for selected layers, specify a blending mode for a layer or group, and fill new layers with neutral color. A layer's blending mode determines how its pixels blend with underlying pixels in the image. If you go to the third selection tool and right click on it, you have a lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, and magnetic lasso tool. The lasso tool is a freehand selection tool. Click and hold your left mouse button on the image and draw your selection. Note that you can also take the paint bucket that we used earlier and fill in any color that you wish into the selected region. And you can also do this for the polygonal lasso tool and the magnetic lasso tool. Next we have polygonal lasso tool. It's very similar to the lasso tool, except that instead of holding your mouse button down to draw, left click on various points to create a selection with a series of straight edges. And the last one, we have a magnetic lasso tool. This is a very handy tool for selecting areas which have reasonably well-defined edges. Left-click on the starting point of your selection and simply move the mouse along the edge. Also note that with all the selection tools, you can copy and paste your selected region to make a copy of what you had selected. And last but not least, we're going to be going over the eraser tool. In the middle left-hand column, select the eraser tool. Now you can delete basically any part of your image that you wish. If you were to right-click on your image, you can change the size and hardness of your eraser. If you look down from that, you have different presets and paintbrushes that you can use to delete your image with. And that about sums it up for the basics of Photoshop.